What's up, guys? Welcome back to the channel. On this episode, we're going to be tearing down a portion of Homer's engine. If you remember in the last video, we was putting him up on the lift and he was running kind of weird. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and pull these stacks off. We're going to get the valve covers off, get the plugs, wires out. Essentially what we're going to do is we're just going to go ahead and give the engine a once-over. Because here in about 2 weeks, we've got back-to-back events. We got to get to the ice cream cruise up in Iowa. Once we finish up there, we got to book halfway across the country down to Missouri, and we've got an event there with No Name Nationals. So essentially, I want to get Homer good and dialed in so we don't have any issues. We roll into the events, 60, 70 mile an hour tip-ins, try to get in, get us a win, hang out with everybody, and get right back out and head to the next event. So let's get this engine tore apart and see what we got. Alright guys, I wasn't going to tear these headers off, but while I'm at it, I'm going to go ahead and take them off real quick, rewire wheel them back down, touch them back up with some paint, because they have taken a beating this year. That way they just kind of look a little bit better. I mean, at this point, it kind of really doesn't matter, because this body is just, it is just destroyed is what I'm saying. So, but anyway, it'll kind of give me a look at the heads to see what they look like. Make sure we don't have any water or any jazz in this exhaust, which I seriously doubt. I could have swore when I started it last time we had a little bit of water here by cylinder number 1. So I just want to put my eyes on everything is what I'm saying. And then we're going to take these plugs out of here, inspect these wires. I've got one like right here in my grill that I can see has got a little bit burned up, but it hasn't made it through the insulation. So we'll probably just tape that up and send it, you know what I'm saying? Ah, come off there. Yeah, don't look too bad so far. So we'll just tuck these wires out of the way. All right, let's get these plugs out. All right, let's bust these loose. We'll see what everything looks like. I'm not gonna lie, I'm super excited for this ice cream cruise. It'd be my first one I've been to. I've watched my friends go to it over the last couple years. But we are gonna send it. Boy, that thing was loose. This wasn't even tight. Good night. Well, that's probably because I didn't have the wrench all the way on. Jeez. Come out of there. Alright. Well, let's see what these plugs look like. Well, maybe. And then we're going to pull these valve covers off and see what that valve train looks like. Oh, yeah, they're crispy. Actually, they don't look too bad. They are fuel soaked, that's for sure. To be honest with you, they don't look terribly bad. So let's get the rest of them out and see what they look like. I'll be back with you in a minute. All right, we got all the plugs out. Got the exhaust off. Got a little bit here getting through that gasket. But it doesn't look too awful terrible. And then here are the plugs. 7's the only one that's a little concerning. It's a little bit oil soaked, fuel soaked. And as you can see, this is 1357, and 7's the one that's just a hair concerning. I don't think there's a whole lot wrong with it. I'm just wondering if it's firing right. But anyway, we'll go ahead and get this valve cover valve cover off next. Get all this out of the way. We'll see what this valve train looks like in here. Just make sure everything's okay. We'll check that out and then we'll go to the other side. All right, come out of there. Don't fall. All right, let's see what we got. I'll save my gaskets here. Oh, that's just clean as a whistle, which is a good sign. What we got down in here now? Check all these keepers, make sure they're okay. Everything looks really good. I don't see any debris or metal or anything laying down in there. Nothing's loose. Good deal. Good deal, loose seal. I'm happy with that. All right, well, we'll go ahead and get that other side off real quick. I'll touch back with you when I got that off. And we'll see that we're good over there. And then what I want to do is I want to check the tolerances on these. See if you can see them springs back there. They go to that burst panel. Make sure that those are good. And if that all checks out, we'll go ahead and go over to that other side, get all that done. Make sure it's all good. We'll check back in with you when we do that, obviously. And again, if that all checks out good, then we'll do a nut and bolt check, bottom to top. Maybe check our fuel filters, see what our fuel pressure is. As you know, we got a gauge mounted to the engine for that. And we'll just keep checking it. Maybe if everything works okay, we'll go out and do a test burnout. Well, boys and girls, I found my firing issue. Do you think this could be a problem? That is plug wire number 8. And yeah, so definitely gonna need a wire for that. Come on, there. Oh, really? Good night. All right, guys, got all the plugs out from the passenger side. 2, 4, and 8 don't look too bad at all, but number 6, yeah, little concerning. So we're gonna have to check that out. I'm sure that is perfectly lined up with that plug wire being shredded like it is, but I'm gonna be straight with you. I've never seen one with the entire center section gone. Yeah. So I guess next we're gonna go ahead and pull that valve cover off, see what we got going on there. All right, guys, good deal. We got this side all tore down. Everything feels absolutely perfect. I think our issue, well, I know our issue was simply just plug number 8. The wire was just completely roached. Plug number 6 was the plug that had completely got eaten alive. So we'll just double check that, but I'm pretty sure that's all that issue. I made a call to our friends up at Advance, got a new set of plugs, got a new set of MSD wires on the way. I'd say all that'll be here this afternoon. So we'll get all that installed. And in the meantime, we're going to go ahead and do a nut and bolt check, get everything ready there, and get Homer dialed in for the ice cream cruise, because I cannot wait. I am going to send him for all he has, because again, this body's about toast anyway, so we're going to make it count. All right, let's get back to work. All right, guys, I'm back. It's been a few hours. If I'm being completely honest, I ran up to Maysville up to see our friends at Advanced Auto Parts. We got all our new plugs, our new Champion plugs for Homer over here. Unfortunately, we weren't able to get our new MSD wires today, but they should be here in a couple days, which is just fine. We'll get them put on then. So anyway, let's slap our new plugs in, get that done, and then we'll see what else we can get into here. I was going to paint these headers and stuff, guys, but I'm just not going to. We're going to send him old school up there. We'll deal with it when we get back. Assuming there's anything left at Homer when we get back from there anyway. But one competition at a time. That's all we can do. Then we'll get ready for No Name. And see what happens there. And then we start getting ready for 2025. We still got one more event at Cletus's in November, but I don't know if we're going to make it to that one. We'll just have to see what Homer looks like when we get done at No Name. And go from there. I'll just leave them wires alone. I'm not even going to bother putting them on. We'll just wait until we get our new wires, and then we'll put them on. Get the headers put on. New heat shields for the wires, because I still got this one that got kind of torched a little bit, but it's not through, so we'll just wrap out with some electrical tape. Not. We're going to put new ones on. And then we'll put the new heat shield on. Zip tie everything back real tight. And send him for all he has when we get up there to Iowa. No different than New York. We're going to send him all of it and throw a bag of chips in with it. Got a little toasty. It's always the silly stuff, man. Always the silly stuff. Then it turns into big stuff. Alright guys, before I put these headers back on, like I was telling you a while ago, I got this spring activated burst panel up underneath the intake. This is what was popping off up there at New York, or where was we at? Stafford Speedway. No, that was in, where the hell did we even go last?
Connecticut.
No.
Oh,
Pontiac, Michigan. We used to have a sick Power Fest during the run. You kept seeing us pop off. I think it was overcharging that one cylinder with fuel, and then it would instantly fire, and it would pop this burst panel loose. So I'm going to tighten it a half a turn, just for, how can I say this, to keep bad juju from happening. And then we'll deal with it when we tear the engine back down after No Name. So let me tighten that up a half a turn. All right, we're going to do a half a turn. So We'll get this kind of snug, about right there. Gonna do 1/2 turn on each one. 1/4 turn. 1/4 turn. That just makes me feel a little bit better that we've got some tension on there, but not too much tension to where it won't bust off. So, all right, cool. Let's get to putting these headers back on real quick. I'm sure not everybody does this the same, but the way I do mine is I always put the first 2 bolts in that hook up my safety shroud, or my safety shroud from Stroud for my blower. And then that kind of gets my holes all lined up with my gasket, and then I just put the rest of them in. So I'll slap this one in first to get her stood up. And then I take and put my second one in next. So now I've got one at each end. My gasket's good and set. I can lay it on my shoulder. And then I just line everything up. Now I know you're probably wondering why I'm not putting my shroud bracket on. As soon as I get these set to where to hold it, I'll put a couple of my middle bolts in, get them snug, pull these 2 back out, and then I'll put my shroud, or my safety shroud on. All right, so now those are started. They'll just sit there. I'll get a couple of my middle bolts put in. Then I'll take the end bolts back out, hook up my safety strap or safety shroud, whatever you want to call it, tighten them all back down. And I always keep my bolts in a row. I'm a weirdo like that, but it's just, it is what it is. Get these 2 put in just so I got all my holes lined up. And we'll start tightening stuff back down. And as you guys know, we'll be in there like swimwear. All right, so now we know all my bolts are in their holes. We know that they're all gonna go home. So now we'll take these 2 back out, hook up my safety harness here, and we are set. All right. So bust this one back. Let me get one of these good and snug. All right, so now we're gonna bust this one out. If I can get my meat hooks in there. Do the same thing for the back and then tighten them all down. All right guys, now all my smaller bolt heads are 3/8. These are ARP bolts. And then my end bolts that hold the harness and the headers are 1/2 inch. So just kind of I'm gonna go through here, work these all in somewhat snug. And then we'll take the ratchet and just kind of goose them down. These generally take a minute. I mean, those of you who use headers, you know what I'm talking about. You have absolutely no room to work on anything. If I'm being honest with you, probably the only thing that keeps me from putting down headers on here is that starter. Because any of you watched the Linda thing for the first 1.5 years or so, them starters are wrapped up in them headers, and you're going through starters or you're going through wiring every run. And I ain't kidding you. I hate to steal that line, but it ain't no joke. All right, so I'm gonna take 1/2 inch socket, tighten these up, and then go every other bolt and then every other bolt backwards, and then we'll have them all tight. All right, and then we're gonna go back and forth, so I'll skip one, get the next one, and then we'll do that in reverse. Now I know a lot of you are gonna say, well, start your center out or start work your outside in kind of jazz. And I can get that, I truly can, but I prefer to do it this way. Because once you get everything kind of hand tight, it's gonna stay where it's at. It's not gonna move, and if it does, it's not gonna be much. Because there is no giving these things. That's just the way I do it. I'm not recommending you do it any other way. You do it whatever floats your boat.
It sounds like you're beating the car.
Homer likes it rough, you know what I mean? He truly does.
I don't know.
He wouldn't know what to do if I was ginger with him. And just like that, we're back to the front. Get this last bolt, and we'll repeat this process on the other side. And then we're just gonna be at the mercy of wires, which will be a couple days, that's fine. We can slap those in on a short or do it for a reel on Facebook or something. This is where you kind of get your knuckles, you aren't careful. All right, so there's that side. Literally tighter than 2 coats of paint. So we'll get this other side on real quick and be done with it. All right, same process, guys. We're gonna get our 2 end bolts put in. Lean this up on our shoulder. Slap it on. Alright, we got enough in place there where we can get our center bolts in. Start with the centermost bolt. Alright, now that'll sit there while you put your harness on. Just like downtown. Take the end bolts back out. Same thing on this side. Alright, and then finally your last two small bolts. And then tighten everything down. Now this makes this a ton easier, obviously, because we have no front end on here at all. I mean, if you were doing this, you know, with a full apron and hood and fenders and all that jazz, it might be a little bit different situation. But anyway, your shoulder will do a lot of the work for you. Like I said, I go every other one. It may be different on how you want to do things, but this is what works for me. So this is what we do here. And if you've been watching this channel more than 5 minutes, I generally don't follow the rules for pretty much anything, and Kathy can tell you that. I do things my way. Alright, I'll get the last bolt and follow that backwards, and we are done with our headers. This is where we're going to do a lot of kinking, 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 kinking. No room at all on these. Alright, there we go, guys. Got our headers back on. The only thing we're waiting on is the new spark plug wires. And technically I've only got one that's bad, but we're just going to go ahead and do them all and be done with it. Then we got to do a nut and bolt check, which we'll do that when we do the wires. Check all our fluids. Check drive shaft loop, rear end, pretty much nut and bolt all the way back. And we'll see you guys up there in Iowa. I can't, Junction City or Junction Port, I'm not sure exactly the name of the city, but we know it's in Iowa, the ice cream cruise. And we'll see if we can send Homer in at 60, 70 mile an hour in that little box and just whip him around, but keep him in good enough shape for no name. And then again, that's about the end of the season for us. Other than the last event at the Freedom Factory in November, we've actually never went to that. We'll just have to see what happens, see what kind of shape Homer's in. And then again, the two new cars are going to be here any day. We got one that's, we don't know what exactly we're going to do with it yet. And we got another one that you guys said you wanted to see us do a drag car. So we'll see what happens with that. But anyway, I appreciate you watching. We'll catch you next time. BRG out.